Now, if we think like businessmen and think, is it really in my best interest to do this? What's the best ROI? What's the best return on investment? That I will start feeling the impact of it immediately, short term and long term. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu says, Inna lil hasana, for one good deed, whatever it is, the first impact that you feel immediately, ضِيَاءً fil wajh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts this nur, this attraction on your face. People love to sit with you. People want to be with you. They don't want to go away from you. The Prophet ﷺ had this nur on his face. That Hassan bin Thabit says, لَوْ لَمْ تَكُنْ لَهُ آيَةٌ مُبَيِّنَةٌ لَكَانَ مَنْظُرُهُ يَأْتِيكَ بِالْخَبْرِ. If he never said a single word, just by looking at his face, you would accept Islam. How beautiful his face was. How munawwar his face was. Tufail ibn Amr al-Dawsi radiallahu anhu comes to Mecca. They tell him that there's a man in Mecca who is crazy, na'udhu billah, who is a poet, na'udhu billah, and he's a fortune teller, na'udhu billah. This person he has all the bad qualities, so stay away from him. So he decided that if this person is that evil and that wicked, that it's in my best interest that I put cotton swabs in my ears and walk around in Mecca while I'm here with cotton swabs. So that's what he did. He put cotton swabs in his ears, that lest maybe the words of this man falls upon his ears and he gets affected. One day he was doing tawaf of the Kaaba and he saw this man praying salah in front of the Kaaba. And just by his presence and his face, he was so attracted to him that he said, "Who's this person?" And they said, "That's that rajul majnoon. That's that crazy person we've been warning you about." He said, "This person's face and presence is such that at least I should listen to what he has." And he took his cotton swabs out of his ears, sat in front of him, and the Prophet gave him da'wah and he accepted Islam. And 1 year later, he brought one Sahabi who accepted Islam, who became the narrator of the most ahadith in the Prophet, Abu Hurairah anhu. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts this attraction on this person's face. No. Today, we get married. 5-10 years later, we start to feel that we're not attracted to each other anymore. We have children, they're ready to sit with everybody else but their parents. This attraction, this pull, is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts on your face and people come towards you. The second effect of one good deed, Ibn Abbas says, وَنُورًا فِي الْقَلْبِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts this light in your heart. This light is not something just metaphorically said, there's a light in your heart. Imagine, Brother Nawaz was telling me that they went to Colorado during the last break. Imagine traveling on these rocky mountains, curvy roads with no lights. There's no street lights, there's no artificial lights, and you turn your headlights off. And now you're trying to maneuver through these roads on these heights with such darkness. After a few moments, it will lead to disaster because you can't see. Imagine going through life without light in your heart. A person will not be able to differentiate between respecting parents or disobeying parents. Will not know the difference between listening to music or listening to Quran. It will be the same for that person because the heart has become so dark. كَلَّا بَدْرَانَ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. Malik bin Dinar, he says, إِذَا رَأَيْتَ قَسَاوَةً فِي قَلْبِكَ وَوَهْنًا فِي بَدَنِكَ وَحِرْمَانًا فِي رِزْقِكَ. If you see these three things, your heart has become hard. We come for every Jumu'ah, but we become immune. The words are not affecting us the same anymore. We go, imagine, we had a Umrah group that went to Umrah with Miftah recently, like a few weeks ago, and they all came back and they were all excited. And I said to them that imagine there are people in the world that are immune to this trip now. They've gone so many times, it doesn't have the same impact anymore. Allah save us from that. That Medina Munawwara does not give us the same impact. Makkah al-Mukarramah, the sight of the Kaaba, does not penetrate our heart like when a person accepts Islam for the first time. He recites the kalima, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and he starts crying. Abu Bakr saw a group of people who were listening to the Quran, and they were crying. And he was the Khalifa at that time, from people from Yemen who came and they heard the Quran for the first time. And they started crying, and Abu Bakr said, هَكَذَا كُنَّا ثُمَّ قَصَدَ الْقُلُوبِ. We were just like this, but then we became used to it. Ikramah bin Abi Jahl, he accepted Islam later in his life. At the end, after Fatih Makkah. So he has not seen the Quran all his life. He's heard about this, he's not seen it. So the first time he sees it, he picks up the book. هَذَا كَلَامُ رَبِّي هَذَا كَلَامُ رَبِّي ثُمَّ غَشِيَ. He said, this is the kalam of my Rabb. This is the words of my Allah. And he goes unconscious. Every time he would pick up the Quran, he would be affected the same way. So this, Malik bin Dinar, he says, if you start to see your heart has become immune, it doesn't penetrate the same way. I remember I went to, first time I saw a dead body was in New Zealand, Christchurch, after the shooting. Sheikh Umar and some of us went, and I couldn't sleep for a few weeks because it was my first time seeing a dead body. For some of us, the first time we did ghusl, it still gives us memories. My brother, Sheikh Abdul, he was 22 years old. He passed away last year in October. After I seen him for the first time, after he passed, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. But there are people that's their profession. That's literally their profession. My brother said, Sheikh Abdullah, he said, the hardest part was not hearing about the death of our brother. That was hard, very difficult. The most difficult part was going to the cemetery and the person selling you a gravesite was acting like everything was business as normal. Which one do you want? This one? For them, it was another sale. For them, it was more money in their pocket. In this world, someone's loss is someone's gain. You see a car accident on the side of the road, that person may be going through difficulty, but the tow companies are loving it. The junkyards are loving it. The ambulance chasers, lawyers are loving it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only being that doesn't benefit or lose anything from us. If we do something, in ahsantum, ahsantum lanfusikum. We do something good, the first beneficiary of that good deed is us. First beneficiary. Allah, Prophet said, if you give sadaqah, if you give charity, the first one who's going to benefit from it is you. And the biggest benefit you will have, تَدْفَعْ مِيتَةَ السُّوء. It will save you from a bad death. It will save you from dying in a place that you don't want to be in. Because in our life, we will always be juggling between good deeds and bad deeds. This is the natural state of a human being. We should not lose sleep over this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already decided that we will sometimes be good and sometimes be bad. Sometimes do good deeds and sometimes do bad deeds. But we ask and beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah, take our soul when we're doing good deeds, not when we're doing bad deeds. So he says, if you see that your heart has become numb, the second thing he says, if you start to see that you have lost strength, himmat nahi hai. In Urdu they say, himmat nahi hai. When you see that you don't have himmat, you don't have the strength to do good things. It's difficult, it's a challenge. And, Iqbal, he says, "Mein jo sar ba sajda hua kahin, to zameen se aane lagi sada, tera dil to hai sanam ashana, tujhe kya milega namaz se?" He says, physically, we're trying so hard. Kabhi a haqiqat muntazar nazar al libas majaz mein, ki hazaron sajde tarap rahe mere jabin niyaz mein. Like, I'm trying so hard. But internally something is wrong. And there's no answer coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because he says, if you start to see that you have no himmah, it's hard to get up for Fajr. It's always a challenge to open the Quran. Second thing he said, if you see the second effect. The third thing he says, وَحِرْمَانًا فِي رِزْقِكَ. You start to see that almost every business decision you make is going back. Every time you try to invest in stocks, it goes down. You have no barakah in your time. You have no barakah in your rizq. You see these three things? Then he said, فَعْلَمْ. Remember, أَنَّكَ تَكَلَّمْتَ فِي مَا لَا يَعْنِيكَ. Don't blame anybody else. You probably said something you shouldn't have said. And this is the effect of speaking vain. Something you shouldn't have said, you said it, and now this is the impact you're starting to feel in this world. What the impact of akhirah is different. First, the impact in this world. So Ibn Abbas says, the second effect of one good deed is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts nur in the person's heart. Nur. One person, he called a scholar, and he said that, I attracted to this person, and I'm trying my best to get away from this relationship because we're not married. What should I do? And the scholar said, you should recite this dua. Allahumma ja'al fi ayni nura, wa fi sam'i nura, wa an yamin nura, wa an shimali nura. It's a masnoon dua about asking Allah that Allah put nur in my eyes, put nur in my heart, put nur on my right hand side, put nur on my left, put nur in front of me, put nur behind me, on top of me, below me. So this person, he said, Shaykh, I cannot make this dua. And the Shaykh said, well, this is my best solution for you. And he said, I can't make this dua. He said, why not? Because the person who I'm in love with, her name is Nur. So it's not going to work out. So this is actually real Nur that Allah puts in your heart. The third effect of one good deed is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَحَبَّةً فِي قُلُوبِ الْخَلْقِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts to put your love, my love, in the hearts of people around us. People start loving us. Allah said in the Quran, لو أنفقت ما في الأرض جميعا ما ألفت بين قلوبهم. If you try to spend the entire world and whatever it contains to make one person love you, you can't do that. Allah is the one that puts love in people's hearts. Today, we try our best to do different things to make people love us. Our children are losing love for us. And when we ask why, maybe because our salah is too fast. Maybe because we are not doing enough to love Allah. وَمَن يُهِنِ اللَّهُ فَمَا لَهُ مِن مُكْرِمٍ. A person who disgraces and undermines and underestimates the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how will Allah give this person respect? وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا. The one who believes, who does good deeds, automatically Allah starts to put the love for this person in the hearts of people around, especially their own family members. Children, wife, people around. Sufyan Thawri rahmatullah used to say, إِنِّي أَرَى أَثَرَ ذَنْبِي فِي إِمْرَأَتِي وَالدَّهَبَتِ. He says, I could see the effects of my bad deeds in the behavior of my spouse. I don't have to blame her. Come home and blame her or come home and blame him. He used to say, give me a few minutes. He used to pray 2 rakats tawbah. He said, oh Allah, it is the effects of my bad deeds today that I'm being treated like this. अपने मन में डूब कर पाजा सुराग ज़िंदगी. तो अगर मेरा नहीं बनता ना बन अपना तो बन. Iqbal, he says, don't blame others. Don't blame anybody. Look at yourself. See what you did wrong. What you could have done better. Because whatever is happening to you is because of what you did. It is the effect of your good deeds or the effect of your bad deeds. It is not because that person is having a bad day or good day. It's because you did something good or bad today. And maybe the effect of good deeds will come a little bit later, but it will eventually follow up and come with you. So he says, the third effect is وَمَحَبَّةً فِي قُلُوبِ الْخَلْقِ. The fourth effect of one good deed. We spoke about himma. He says, وَقُوَّةً فِي الْبَدَنِ. That one good deed opens the door of many other good deeds. We have come here for Jumu'ah today. All of us sitting here today, let us not for one moment be confused. We did not come here because I wanted to come here. I did not come from Michigan because I had the ability, I got a ticket, I flew here. Wallahi, we are all here because Allah accepted us to be here. Allah accepted us. Allah gave us tawfiq. We all understand this. The moment Umrah became easy and convenient for Americans, many parts of the world, they can't even go because visa restrictions. The moment it became convenient for us, that is the moment we couldn't go anymore because of COVID. Allah showed us that Masjid Nabawi, Makkatul Mukarramah, it is all about acceptance. Don't be fooled just because you can afford it and go there and print a visa and get there that it's okay, it's in your control. No, this is always about acceptance. وَمَا تَوْفِيقِي إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. This is tawfiq, Allah is the one who gives. It's not something that I do on my own. So similarly, we've come here to the masjid today because Allah blessed us. One person, he said to me that he was on the edge of Islam, Muslim youngster from our community. And one thing I said to him, he said, I left Islam. I said to him that you did not leave Islam. Allah decided that you were not fit to have iman. So Allah deprived you. That's it. It's not that you left. It's Allah decided that you were not fit to be there. I'm not coming to this masjid anymore. Well, that's because Allah decided for you not to come here anymore. It's not you're making this decision. We've come here today because Allah allowed us. Now, any other good deed that we want to do, we have to get this allowance, this tawfiq, this acceptance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How do we get it? By doing more good deeds. One good deed opens up the acceptance for many other good deeds. We do wudu, it's one good deed. We walk towards the masjid, another good deed. We say Allahu Akbar, another good deed. Just like Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, he says, one bad deed is the door for many other bad deeds. You say one lie, you have to cover up with many more lies. Similarly, one good deed, Allah gives us tawfiq and the strength to do more good deeds. That's the fourth effect of one good deed. And the fifth effect of one good deed, Ibn Abbas, he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He puts barakah, barakatan fil rizq. He puts blessings in our time and in our wealth, in our children. We have less, but it's enough. Today, Shaykh Sulaiman Mullah, he says, the modern day poverty is in the midst of having everything, you're still in need. You're in the middle of luxury, but we still don't feel like we have enough. So this one good deed will give us the richness of the heart. We will get the barakah. Many people before, they used to, if you look at their lives, they had short lives, very short lifespans. But they did so much in their short lifespan that people can't even do. One of my teachers, I go back to see him, and every time he goes on a journey, he writes a new book. Every time I go back, he has another book published. So I asked him, I said, when do you have time to write these books? You're busy all day. He said, every time I travel, I start writing a book. By the time my travel is finished, my book is finished. And I said to him that every time I try to travel, I take a new book to read, and I put it in my backpack. And by the time I get back, I can't even read 3 pages. Not write, not think. And he said to me, Allah said, make dua, that Allah gives barakah in our time. When Allah takes barakah out of our time, something that should have only taken a day ends up taking a month. Something that should have only taken a week ends up taking a whole year. And when Allah puts barakah in our time, something that should have on an average taken someone a whole year to do, Allah makes it easy for us to do in 1 week. Allah is the controller of times. In hadith, and I conclude with this example, in a hadith, the Prophet gives an example of جَمَعَ لَهُ شَمْلًا وَشَتَّتْ عَلَيْهِ شَمْلًا. This is the best description of barakah. He says that when Allah decides to take barakah out of something, it's like this paper. And I drop it on the floor, it's easy to pick up, you just go pick it up. But imagine I put it through a shredder, and then I throw it all over the floor, and I said, now pick it up. Now it will take me or you so much more time to pick it up, go all over the place, and we still might miss some particles. We've put more effort, we put more sweat, but at the end of the day, we only accumulated the same piece of paper, and we might have missed something. This is absence of barakah. And the presence of barakah is the opposite. That thing which was scattered all over the room, which was meant to be shredded paper, what Allah does, He puts it all together and He gives you one paper. And so now you don't have to work hard. It's barakah right here. That thing that would have taken you 50 minutes to get all these small things, Allah just gives you. شَتَّتْ عَلَيْهِ شَمْلَهُ وَجَمَعَ لَهُ شَمْلَهُ. Both come in hadith. So, effect of one good deed is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does this for us. And brothers and sisters in Islam, if this is the effect of one good deed, then what is the effect of one bad deed? I'm not going to mention it today, but think about it. Ibn Abbas, he says, وَإِنَّ لِلسَّيِّئَةِ سَوَادًا فِي الْوَجْهِ وَظُلْمَةً فِي الْقَلْبِ وَوَهْنًا فِي الْبَدَنِ وَبَغْضَةً فِي قُلُوبِ الْخَلْقِ وَضِيقًا فِي الرِّزْقِ. One bad deed, Allah puts this darkness on our face. Wahsha. We don't feel like socializing with people. We feel we want to stay alone. You don't want to meet people. A lot of youngsters are like that. They want to stay in front of the video games, in front of the TV, in front of their phones. This is alone. And this is unlike the past because we are so lonely with our sins. This is what happens to us. Allah puts this darkness on our face, this darkness in our hearts. He takes away barakah from our rizq. He takes away the strength of good deeds from us. And He starts to take the love out of the hearts of people from us. So people are not attracted to us. People don't want to sit with us. Allah save us. So, brothers and sisters in Islam, if one person does one good deed, he gets affected like this. Then one family does it, the effect is on one family. 10 families do it, the effect of it is on 10 families. A whole community does it. وَلَوْ أَنَّ أَهْلَ الْقُرَىٰ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقُوا لَفَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَرَكَاتٍ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Allah says, if the entire city starts to think like this, one good deed, a return of investment immediately. Also later on, and also in akhirah. And everyone starts to invest in this. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give barakah to the entire community. But the opposite is true as well. If everyone, Aisha said, أَفَنُهْلِكْ وَفِينَا الصَّالِحُونَ. Is it possible that we will be punished? We will feel the consequences of sins even though there are righteous people among us? The Prophet said, نَعَمْ إِذَا كَثُرَ الْخَبْثِ. When more people do bad, there's so many sins happening, the effect of it is going to also impact you. The weather gets bad, the weather in Michigan is really cold. Doesn't matter if you're Mufti, Sheikh, or if you don't believe in Allah, you all feel the effect of the cold. Everyone feels the effect of it. So that's how the society becomes. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to continuously do good deeds. And understand that a good deed has an impact. And if you understand this, then we will know it's in our best interest to do more good deeds. It's in our best interest. And it's in our best interest not to do anything wrong. And if we do something wrong, we ask Allah for forgiveness right away, and that will have an impact on us as well. And our families start to do this. And this is the best way to get barakah in our rizq. This is the best way to get love in our families. These things that are missing in our community. Jazakallah khair wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah alameen. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده المصطفى أما بعد إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد الأمي وعلى آله وسلم تسليما اللهم انصر الإسلام المسلمين اللهم انصر من نصر محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وجعلنا منه معهم اللهم اخذل من خذل محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم معهم اللهم اشف مرضانا وآف مبتلانا وارحم موتانا إنك حقا على كل شيء قدير يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث أصلح لنا شأننا كله ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين أو أقل من ذلك ولا تنزع منا صالح ما أعطيتنا آمين رب العالمين إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون واذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله تعالى أعلى وأولى وأتم وهم وأكبر أقيموا الصلاة. Please make your line straight.